and hi there, everyone. So a little introduction to me. My name's Iain MacLeod. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a project and engagement manager and an inclusion ambassador at Reed Talent Solutions. So just so that you're aware, much like Martin, I don't just like to stand here and talk at you for 20 minutes. So there will be a little bit of involvement with all of you. So what I would ask is if you can please be brave when I turn out to yourselves and share your experiences and on the things that we speak about here. So I'm talking about the why of ED&I. And let's be honest, you wouldn't be here today if you didn't already know a bit about the business case, for one. As Martin has spoken about earlier on, the business case is key. And when we're talking about the business case, we're looking at attraction and retention of talent. We're looking at performance and innovation. We're looking at the cost benefits, and we're looking at the stakeholder returns. We all know this. It's our bread and butter. If we didn't, we wouldn't be here. We also know a little bit about the visibility piece. So the optics, you've got to be out there, you've got to be showing yourself, you've got to be branding yourself properly. This is dealing with your reputation, your engagement, your media presence, and growing now the social media presence and the importance of making sure that everything is out there on social media. I think we might have the wrong slide deck here. Apologies, it's Pride Month. There we go, there we go. I mean, I do joke. I put the rainbow on here. It's vitally important for us to have that rainbow there, to be able to see things in Pride Month. We didn't have that kind of visibility when I was young. And whilst rainbow washing is something we absolutely want to involve, there is power in putting that there. So my first thing I want to say, please don't be afraid of showing your colours. But if these are the only reasons that you are really digging into ED&I, you're going to struggle to create a truly inclusive organisation. To really make a difference and to stand out, we need to look deeper than the business case and showing our colours. We need to look at why ED&I is so important. So, before we get too much further, I am going to need all of you to help me. We're going to run a visualization exercise. Very short, but it does require some buy-in from all of you. So I am going to read out a short story, and I want you all to close your eyes, listen to the words I'm saying, and try and picture what I'm describing in your mind's eye. When we're done, I'll have a few questions. I'll get Natasha to come around with the microphone to get a few bits of feedback from people. There are no wrong answers in any of this. And our story is going to begin in an airport. So if I can invite you all to just close your eyes and listen to what I'm saying and picture the things I describe. So you're at the airport and you're late for a flight. You're rushing to the gate and you just make it in time. You step inside the plane with the door shutting behind you, and just as you're coming in, you see the pilot pop out to speak to the crew. You get to your destination, you go to a local restaurant, and you have the most delicious meal. Next to you, you see a couple who are celebrating a special anniversary meal. The next morning, you go to the biggest technology conference in the world, and the CEO of this year's hottest new tech startup just took to the stage to speak. And then at the end of the evening, you're in your room watching TV, and an athlete is being awarded an OBE at Buckingham Palace. You can all open your eyes. Nice, simple story, but I've got a few questions. I wanted to get some feedback on what you saw when you closed your eyes. So first question is, can someone tell me what they saw when the pilot came out to say hello? Have you got any thoughts about what people saw as the pilot? What did they look like? Anyone brave? Oh, we've got some people moving. Right. We've got a white male, brilliant.
Yeah.
What kind of age are we looking at here? Anyone? 40s? Oh.
Yeah, he was in his 40s.
So we saw someone who maybe looked a little bit like this, yeah? Anyone see someone who was younger? Anyone see any women pilots? Oh, do we have a yes there? What about the couple having their anniversary meal? What did we see when the couple were having their anniversary meal? Anyone would say, what did they look like? Oh, got one at the back here again.
I'm just going to stand next to you.
It was a man and a woman.
Man and a woman, yeah. Anyone see any mixed race couples? Or they both say, oh, we've got one at the back, a mixed race couple at the back, brilliant. But I'm guessing a lot of you saw something maybe a little bit like this. Let's talk about the tech CEO. Who wants to say what they saw for the tech CEO? Can maybe liken it to any names, any people that you can imagine. So the one we get, we've got another brave person.
Yeah, I'll keep it. It was obviously some middle-aged white guy.
Zuckerberg, maybe? We get Zuckerberg, we get Elon Musk. Occasionally we'll get Steve Jobs. Less and less now. And what about the athlete? Can anyone tell me who or what they saw as the athlete? Oh, we've got a few over on this side.
Oh, you're making me
start at the back,
do my
shall we?
steps.
Oh, you did say you wanted your steps.
I did say I wanted to do steps, yeah.
A young black man.
Usain Bolt, maybe?
Yeah, I was going to say.
We get
Usain Bolt, yeah.
We get Mo Farah. They're our big ones. And I'll tell you now, I'm not psychic. I don't throw the bones or look anything up. We've done this exercise with a lot of people. And none of me being able to know what the general people were going to see, none of it makes anyone a bad person. You all get what I was doing here. You all know this is our unconscious biases playing in. But it's key to keep in your mind that bias is an evolutionary step. Our brains have evolved over thousands of years to be able to make quick judgments. And that's about safety. That's about where can I be safe? What am I doing? The brain knows this. It took thousands of years for us to evolve to be able to do this. And it's going to take time to unpick that. What this exercise does is it powerfully shows us that unless we intentionally, actively, and genuinely bake inclusion into everything that we do, we will unintentionally exclude, meaning you'll not be able to authentically back up that business case, those strategies, and those optics that you're putting out there. And authenticity is key. As Martin said, you will hear authenticity a lot today, and that's because authenticity matters. Marginalised groups have long been able to see when support is performative. We can spot rainbow washing. Those of us in the queer community, we see it. We ask, what are you doing? Nothing. We can spot it a mile away, and it's the same of all marginalised groups. But the truth is that right now, marginalised groups, we need your support. Black people are seeing companies quietly stepping away from commitments they made following the murder of George Floyd. As you can see here, 53% of black employees and employees of colour said their organisation had either done nothing or they were unaware of what they'd done. This year-on-year statistics for an increase in Islamophobic and anti-Semitic incidents immediately following the escalation of actions of Hamas and of the Israeli government. We've seen this in the UK. These have grown by, for Islamophobic incidents, 3 times, and for anti-Semitic incidents, 6 times. Disabled people, working-age people with disabilities feel excluded from society because of their impairment. 49%, nearly half, feel excluded. Over the last 5 years, there's been an increase of reported hate crime based on sexual orientation of 112%. That is massive. And for our trans brothers and sisters, the increase in reported hate crimes has been 186% over the last 5 years. It's absolutely shocking. Not only that, but the trans community are finding themselves placed at the centre of political culture wars. All these groups want is to feel safe. And where do we spend most of our time? in the workplace. This is why it's vital that you can make sure that all of your efforts are authentic and baked in from the start. And not only do we want this, we're not settling for anything less. There was a piece earlier talking about where do we get the data from before application. And I do actually have some data for before application, because in a recent survey by Monster, 83% of Gen Z candidates said a company's commitment to ED&I is important when choosing an employer. Now, it's worth pointing out here, and this made me feel old, Gen Z is not kids entering the workforce. This year, now prepare to feel, this year Gen Z, the oldest members, will turn 27. Nearly 30. This is a huge chunk of people. And it's not just Monster who are finding this. This has been backed up by Gen Z recruiting platform Ripple Match. They found that 75% of candidates would reconsider even applying for a company if they were unsatisfied with their ED&I efforts. Now, data is really important, but in recruitment, we're dealing with people, not concepts. And people are actively telling us what they want. So, how do we do this? How do we take this why, this real reason, this lived experience, and build an inclusive organization? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. You know, we just need to refine, we need to revise, we need to take what we're doing and we need to invest. So 3 key takeaways that I want you all to have today. The first one being, get to know the truth. Don't be scared of the truth. If you're not doing well in certain areas, being open and owning that is not a weakness. In fact, committing to change based on where you're at is a strength. And coming from a marginalized group, if I can see someone who is really owning that we're not doing well in this particular area, here are the steps we're taking to change that. That excites me much more than someone who's saying, we're brilliant, we're great, come on to us. Anyone who says they've got it all sorted is either lying or deluded. Key things here, make sure that you have representatives of marginalized groups in your data capture when you're finding out the truth. There should be no conversations about us without us. It is key that you can get people from those backgrounds to tell you their stories, to give you their life, to let you know what is happening for them. Second of all, design a clear and measurable strategy. Now, there's been lots of talks about how we can do that. You can interact with technology platforms. There's all sorts of pieces that you can be doing to design that key measurable strategy. For one, I'm particularly looking forward to Christina's talk this afternoon about measurability. I want to get some extra tips on that one. But there will be lots of ways that you can do that. Interact with all the people here. There are some great solutions that I particularly love. But that measurability is key. And we do have a download that I'll be popping up here later on where you'll be able to pull it in. It's our key top tips for forming your own ED&I strategy or refining it. A good checklist that'll be available as on a QR code in a little while. However, the third point is the biggie and the toughest of all. Get everyone on board. This is, as I say, this is the biggie. It's tough because there are a lot of people who think it's all gone a bit too far, or who think, this has nothing to do with me. Why should I be involved in this? You know, ED&I is nothing. I'm fine. How do we get people on board? Well, statistics and the data, as I say, they're hugely important for getting this all set up. But for getting people on board, that's not going to get everyone there. Statistics fill reports. It's our stories that fill hearts and minds. Stories are why we have film and why we have theatre. Stories, they're at the heart of how we learn right from day one, whether it's kids learning about the world in fairy tales, whether it's learning about religion from holy texts, whether it's ITV teaching us about the post office scandal. Everyone who saw that, we watched it, we felt something, we cared, we were on board, and we wanted that change to happen. And stories are how we get those people who are outliers, who think they've been left behind. That's how we get them on board. One of the things I do is I deliver training to some of our clients. And the most exciting part of that training to me is the story that I can tell. And that story is that as a recruiter, you have immense power to affect change in an organization. By that, I mean a recruiter or people within that recruitment function, you are the first interaction that people will have with your organization. You get to kick off that narrative of engaging with you that is going to drive everything through. You have the power to get to know your candidates. You have the power to get to know the demographics, to understand their stories, to know the barriers that people are facing. And with that power, you get to remove obstacles. You get to build trust and relationships to allow candidates to show up as their full, authentic selves. It's something we talk about a lot, and you'll hear again and again. Removing that fear of, am I safe to be myself here, allows people to be their best self. If I'm not worrying, as Martin said, if I'm not worrying about being safe when I go into an organization, I'm going to walk in there as a very out, very queer person who is going to make change and make things better. If I don't feel safe, I'm not going to be turning up wearing bright pink trousers. I'm not going to be wearing rainbow lanyards, throwing on queer all year across me. I'm going to be hiding, I'm going to be shrinking, I'm not going to be performing as my best self. As a recruiter, you have that power. You are there opening the doors, and you're not left behind. You're at the front. You are making that change. You are being your own Marvel superhero in a way to somebody. Yeah, at Reed, we talk about improving lives through work, and if you're in a recruitment role and you're invested in ED&I, you are improving lives 100%. And if you can help people to be their full, authentic selves, you'll not only attract the best talent, you will retain that best talent. And that is the why of ED&I. Now, as I mentioned, we do have a free download. Please feel free to use this QR code. We also have it out on, we've got a couple of tables here that have got it on. We've got it out on our stand. You can interact with that to bring up our free download. It might have some questions you've not thought of. You might have some bits that you can be letting us know that you want us to add in. We are so open to hearing more from you. With that, all I can say is thank you. Please, please do feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to hear from all of you with all of your tips, with all of your knowledge. I know those of us within ED&I, we don't hoard knowledge. We're people who like to share. And if there's any way that either I or my colleagues here at Reed can be helping you to enhance your ED&I, particularly through that telling of stories, the sharing of ideas, and that building together something that's organic and authentic, please do reach out. And on that, I'll hand over to Natasha.